He was not a soldier. He was not a spy. He wasn't even a diplomat. He was just a man. A man who found himself in the middle of the darkest chapter of human history, surrounded by fear, betrayal, and death. A man who should have escaped, who should have stayed silent, who should have minded his own business and walked away. But instead, he did something unbelievable. He committed the most dangerous act a civilian could do in Nazi-occupied Europe. He lied. He told the Nazis he was a Spanish ambassador. He wasn't, but they believed him. And with that lie, he saved more than 60,000 lives. This is the story of Giorgio Perlasca, a man who defied Hitler not with weapons, not with armies, but with courage and a fake identity. A man almost nobody knows today, yet every life he saved still echoes in the world. It begins in Budapest, 1944, one of the most terrifying places on earth at the time. Hungary had joined the Axis, but by 1944 things were collapsing fast. The Germans marched in, the SS took control, and the Hungarian Arrow Cross, Hitler's most fanatical allies, began rounding up Jewish families by the thousands. Every day there were more deportations, more shootings by the riverbank, more trains leaving for Auschwitz. People were disappearing. Children, mothers, grandparents, whole neighborhoods emptied in days. And in the middle of all this chaos stood Giorgio Perlasca, an Italian businessman stuck in the city with no way home. His passport meant nothing now. His country was no longer an ally of Germany, and every foreigner in Budapest lived in fear of being arrested, or worse. He watched as families were dragged from their homes. He saw the columns forced toward the trains. He heard the gunshots by the Danube. Most people would have hidden. Most people did. But not Giorgio. He remembered a promise he once made, to never again stand by and watch injustice. And in that moment he decided, if he had even a chance to help someone, he would take it. He went to the Spanish embassy, hoping for protection. Spain, although ruled by a dictator, was officially neutral. They had been granting safe passes to Jews with Spanish ancestry, documents that declared them under Spanish protection. These papers were powerful. They could stop an SS soldier in his tracks. Giorgio had no right to be there, but he asked for shelter anyway. The Spanish ambassador, Angel Sans Briz, was already helping thousands of Jewish families, using every trick and loophole he could find. He saw something in Giorgio: calmness, determination, courage. So he let him in. But danger was everywhere. The deportations were increasing. The Arrow Cross militia was hunting Jews in the streets. And most terrifying of all, the Spanish ambassador had to flee the country. He left secretly in the night. That should have been the moment everything fell apart. Without the ambassador, the Jews under Spanish protection had no shield. The Nazis would seize the buildings, revoke the safe passes, and drag everyone away. But then, something impossible happened. When Hungarian officials showed up at the Spanish embassy the next morning demanding to speak to the ambassador, Giorgio Perlasca stepped forward, and he said the words that changed history. "I am the Spanish ambassador." They believed him. Just like that, the greatest bluff of the war had begun. Giorgio forged documents. He created safe passes from thin air. He visited holding camps, police stations, and even torture centers, demanding the release of Jewish families by claiming they were Spanish citizens. He confronted Nazi officers directly, shouting, threatening, inventing new laws on the spot. Nobody questioned him. His confidence was unshakable. His courage was frightening. And then came his boldest move. One winter night, the Arrow Cross began marching thousands of Jews toward the Danube River. The militia planned to shoot them and throw the bodies into the freezing water. A massacre was minutes away. Giorgio heard about it and ran into the street. Without hesitation, he stepped in front of the march, alone, and screamed at the soldiers. He demanded they release his people. He claimed they were Spanish citizens under protection. He even threatened to report their actions to General Franco, Spain's dictator, who the Arrow Cross actually respected. His voice echoed in the cold night. Everyone stopped. Nobody dared touch him. The militia obeyed. Dozens of families were pulled from the line, saved from immediate death. Saved by one man's unbelievable courage and an identity that wasn't even his. Days later, he stormed into an internment building run by German officers. They were preparing deportations. Giorgio slammed his fake diplomatic papers on the desk and ordered them to stop. The officer in charge hesitated, but Giorgio stared him down until the man backed off. Every day was a new danger. Every hour, a new gamble with his own life. He moved through the city like a ghost, fighting a silent war with his only weapons: lies, confidence, and an unbreakable moral code. He protected families hiding in safe houses. He fed children who had nothing left. He stood up to soldiers who could have executed him on the spot. By the time the Soviet army reached Budapest in 1945, Giorgio had saved more than 60,000 Jewish lives. And then, he simply went home. No reward, no fame, no medals, nothing. He never told anyone, not even his own family. For decades, he lived quietly in Italy. A butcher, a normal man, someone you'd pass on the street and never look twice at. His story would have been lost forever. But then, decades later, Jewish survivors began searching for the mysterious Spanish ambassador who saved them. When they investigated, they discovered something shocking. There was no record of a Spanish ambassador named Perlasca. Only then did they find him. Old, living in a modest apartment, still anonymous, still humble. When they asked him why he never said anything, he shrugged. "I did what I had to do," he said. "Any decent person would have done the same, but the truth is, almost nobody would have. And that's why Giorgio Perlasca is a hero the world must never forget. A man who defied Hitler's machinery of death with nothing but courage. A man who risked everything for people he didn't even know. A man who lied to save the truth of humanity. And as long as we tell his story, the lives he saved continue to speak. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting these untold stories. And thank you for keeping the memory of real heroes alive.